Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast tonight, the 19th day of September 2024. I do hope you had a fantastic day from wherever you are watching tonight's bulletin with me, Sammy Adika. Now, starting us off tonight is that President William Ruto has argued, or rather urged the newly installed Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, to protect the independence of the National Police Service from any interference by external forces. Speaking during the official investiture of Kanja to the rank of Police IG at State House right here in Nairobi, President Ruto stressed on the importance of the police service as an institution mandated to maintain law and order in the country. Now he's swearing in coming at a time when his deputy, Gilbert Masengeli, is at loggerheads with the judiciary. Chief Justice Martha Koome called on the new police boss to ensure the police service upholds and protects the rule of law.
It is my honor this afternoon to receive the new Inspector General of the Police subsequent to my nomination and Parliament having approved your appointment and my subsequent appointment and your swearing in this morning. And finally, this function that now gives you the authority and the responsibility for command of our Kenya Police Forces. I want to say on behalf of the government of Kenya and people of Kenya, Mr. Kanja, congratulations. Your many years of service in the police service and to country counted in your nomination and subsequent appointment. Your dedicated service, your discipline, your commitment to both the National Police Service and to your country have stood out in your long career as a police officer. Today, you take over the realms as Inspector General of Police, and you will be in command of the largest body of armed men and women. It is a huge responsibility that comes with a measure of authority, but an equal measure of accountability.
Well, now crossing to the coastal part of the country, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has pledged that the government will continue securing Lamu County against insecurity such as insurgency of terrorism. Reaffirming the government's commitment in beefing up security in the county, the DP, who was speaking during the burial ceremony of Lamu County Deputy Governor Raphael Munywa Ndongo, said the Kenya Kwanza administration has deployed every security agency in the county to ensure that residents coexist peacefully and in harmony, as Alice Diana tells us.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has emphasized the importance of peace in Lamu County, adding that Lamu County can only flourish if only peace and tranquility exists. Gachagua, who was speaking at Muungano grounds in Peketoni, Lamu County, during the burial service of the late Raphael Munywa, the county's deputy governor, noted that Lamu County has for a long time been a battleground for terrorists, a situation he said will not be business as usual moving forward.
Na mimi nasihi watu wote waendelee kuishi kwa amani na wote wapendane. Hapa Lamu ndio kwetu kwa kila mtu. Hakuna mtu wako na boma ingine. All those who are here, this is your home. Let's live with everybody, irrespective of this or that community. We are one people, one country. It is good for us to live in unity and peace and harmony, because that is what we must do all the time.
Gachagua also commended security officers and national government administration officers for proper coordination during operations and making sure that more attacks are repulsed. He assured them of continuous government support.
Maofficers wetu wa usalama, county commissioner and your team, plus ile multi-agency team ambayo iko katika hii county. Mimi nataka kutolea nyinyi kofia kwa kazi nzuri sana ambayo mnafanya ya kuweka amani na kupambana na magaidi.
Gachagua has however ruled out the possibility of removing sniffer dogs at roadblocks from the major roads, saying this would compromise on security. The proposal had been fronted by former Lamu County Woman Representative Shakila Mohammed, who had argued that the sniffer dogs were inconveniencing Muslim faithfuls.
The crimes in Lamu are complicated. You are talking of terrorism and banditry. Tunaongea mambo ya explosives. Those sniffer dogs unalamika juu yake. Ndio iko na utaalamu katika dunia nzima ya kunusa na kujua. Na uzuri ya hiyo umbwa huwezi pea hongo. Si ndio? Huwezi pea hongo. So hata sisi pahali rais ako, pahali mimi niko, ndizo zinatumika. It is the only method so far in the world to detect explosives so that they are not a danger to society. So hapo mtuvumilie kidogo.
And as the Mount Kenya politics have continued to divide leaders over whether to support the Deputy President or Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki as their spokesperson, a section of leaders who accompanied Gachagua have castigated those whom they say are undermining the Deputy President, saying they will not manage to separate him from Kenyans.
Tumefanyia hii siasa, tumetafutia hii serikali ya Kenya kwanza viti. Hautatoka kama mtu ambaye ameaibishwa. Wale wanaleta impeachment motion, wewe dadangu Mudhoni, nilisikia hiyo siku nyingine ni wao walikuwa nazurua na karatasi ukitafuta signature kupeleka Rigathi nyumbani. Wewe Mudhama na kuangalia, wewe ni ndugu yangu. Tungetaka kujua kama nyinyi ndio mnataka kuimpeach Rigathi, mtu anataka kupiga ndugu yake mkubwa, tunapeleka nyumbani mapema.
We want to tell them no any strategy that they are developing of sabotaging the Deputy President or even plotting anything or bringing in cheap campaign. It will not separate him with the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Kuheshimu wapakwa mafuta. Upako. Naibu rais aliyeketi hapa alipakwa mafuta kwa njia ya kuapishwa wakiwa na mheshimiwa rais wetu mpendwa William Samoei Ruto. Jameni, tuheshimu rais wetu William Samoei Ruto na tuheshimu naibu wake Rigiji ambaye amekaa hapa na makosa yake ni kusema tu watu waungane.
Alice Diana, Hope TV Newswatch.
Well, many thanks, Alice Diana, for the report. Now on matters education, university dons have defied a court order issued by Judge Dr. Jacob Gakiri that temporarily restrains the University Academic Staff Union, WASU, from calling any industrial action, arguing that the order only prohibits them from issuing another strike notice after September 18th. Now, the nationwide lecturer strike entered its second day, with the dons saying their current strike notice was issued on September 11th before the court order. The lecturers are now insisting the government must address their concerns, failure to which they will keep off universities.
We gave the strike notice to the employers and the government for one reason: failure to negotiate our 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement. They have failed to negotiate since 2020, the time when the unions gave out their proposals as required by law. For the entire period of 4 years, we have been waiting. And when they finally called us, that was in June 2023, nothing has been recorded to date as an agreement. And therefore, our members have decided to take back the power that they had given us to represent them and negotiate for them. Today, has come to the date when these members have taken back that power to now go forth and ask, demand from the government their collective bargaining agreement of 2021-2025 cycle.
We are saying no to new funding model. Is that okay?
Yes.
We are saying no to new funding model.
No.
Your parents' background cannot be used to determine your future. Is that okay?
Yes.
Band 1, Band 2. When you are walking in campus, uko na njaa, everybody knows you are in Band 1, you are traumatized. Hakuna mambo ya kama wanataka kila mtu aende Band 1. Band 1. Is that okay?
Yes.
Well, still on matters lecturers strike, the government has called on striking public university staff to consider returning to the negotiating table and resolve the prevailing labor disputes. State Department for Higher Education and Research Principal Secretary Beatrice Inyangala says the government is determined to offer university staff good terms of service to allow them to dispense their services in a comfortable working environment. Now speaking during Embu University's 9th graduation ceremony, the PS argued, or rather urged the university staff to put the interest of the students first by agreeing to engage the government on the matter with a view to return to work.
It is our view, and we are fully persuaded that our lecturers and non-teaching staff are patriotic Kenyans, and that they'll put the interests of the nation and our students first and reach an agreement with governments with a view to returning to work. But let me also emphasize that all is not doom and gloom. The government and the two trade unions, UASU and KUSU, have reached agreements on a number of issues. At the level of UASU, I'm pleased to share that the two parties have reached consensus on 5 key issues, namely retirement age, a 7% basic salary increment, car loan and mortgage scheme, annual leave, and the establishment of a national implementation committee that will monitor the rollout of a newly signed collective bargaining agreement.
Well, now away from matters education and on to matters health, civil society organizations have raised concerns over the government's 6.7 billion Kenya shillings Mpox Response Fund, stating it is insufficient and not effectively prioritized. Now, this comes even as the government on Wednesday announced the formation of a national multi-agency Mpox team, which was set to nominate 5 representatives earlier in the day in collaboration with the Council of Governors. Now, in a press statement in Nairobi led by AHF Kenya, the organizations have argued the government will need to redirect funding towards essential areas such as vaccine procurement, advanced diagnosis tools, and community sensitization efforts, as Grace Sahati reports.
As Africa grapples with unprecedented surge in Mpox cases, including Kenya and the neighboring Uganda, civil society organizations CSOs have voiced serious concerns over the government's 6.7 billion shillings response fund, stating it is insufficient and poorly prioritized. Addressing the press in Nairobi, the CSOs have called on the government to redirect funding towards critical areas such as vaccine procurement, advanced diagnostic tools, and community sensitization efforts. Led by Dr. Samuel Kinyanjui, Country Program Director at AHF Kenya, they emphasized the need for the World Health Organization WHO to expedite the review and approval of alternate Mpox vaccines to enhance affordability and increase manufacturing options.
We have seen the devastating effects of vaccine inequality during the COVID pandemic. The socioeconomic impact of COVID was felt globally. We risk similar global shutdown if we do not address the Mpox with the same urgency and collaboration. The call to action is clear. We need urgent technology and know-how transfer, including patent waivers, to enable regional vaccine production. These measures will increase vaccine supply, reduce costs, strengthen the global response to mpox.
On his part, James Kamau from the Kenya Treatment Access Movement KETAM stressed the importance of government accountability in the national response, warning that mismanagement and corruption could undermine efforts to combat the outbreak.
We now have mpox, and we know, you've just been told, it will make COVID look like a small child. That's how bad it will be. We need to be extremely prepared. We are on a trajectory of having to put UHC in place, universal health coverage. As we are talking, they are trying to launch the SHA. There is absolutely nothing in that SHA on disaster management.
Faith Ndungu, Advocacy and Communication Manager of the Health NGOs Network HENET, also echoed their sentiments at the same time, highlighting the critical role of civil society and communities in surveillance, prevention and response to outbreaks.
It's very important for us to acknowledge, and I would like the Ministry of Health and other key critical players for us to all acknowledge the role of collective action. Yes, the Ministry of Health has a critical role that they play. But as civil society and communities, there's also a very important role that we play, which comes in prevention, which comes in referrals, which comes in sensitization. And that's a very important role that needs to acknowledge and we get enabled. And that's a call that I would like to move to the Ministry of Health.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Well, together with my sign language interpreter, Boniface Mureithi, we shall be taking a short commercial break. Don't go too far. We'll be right back with many more.
What are you feeding your mind with? We say in computer, garbage in, garbage out. It's as good as what you feed. If you try to copy someone, yes, you fall short. You shortchange yourself. And we need to appreciate that when God called each and every one of us, He called us for a purpose and He called us to a particular race.
Not a race we must run, not we. I must run.
I must.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Welcome back. Now, the International Commission of Jurists, ICJ Kenyan section, has launched its much-anticipated 2022 election compendium, continuing the jurists' organization's unwavering commitment to promoting electoral justice and the rule of law in Kenya and across Africa. The document compiles decisions from the magistracy to the Supreme Court, which offers a deep understanding of the written law and how various players within the election dispute resolution system have interpreted and applied it. Following controversial events that surrounded the highly contested 2022 August 8th general elections, the International Commission of Jurists ICJ Kenyan section has launched the 2022 election compendium.
Can we wake up and say, Julie, because you're pretty?
The move highlights the jurists' organization's unwavering commitment to promoting electoral justice and the rule of law in Kenya and across Africa, with ICJ Kenya chairperson Protas Saende terming the document as an important educational tool for all stakeholders involved in election management.
It serves as a tool to educate and also assist the judiciary. I'm sure you had Honorable Justice Dr. Smokin Wanjala indicate that it assists them in ensuring that when they are faced with an issue, they are able to quickly refer and see whether a similar issue has been dealt with by the courts.
The document also highlights recommendations that will help in streamlining the electoral process to help avert election disputes experienced in the country before.
Some amendments to electoral laws and regulations which come too close to the election, and you find that when that is done, it creates a lot of confusion, and at times some of the actors in the electoral dispute process are not even aware of such changes.
Supreme Court Judge Dr. Smokin Wanjala termed the compendium as an invaluable resource as it serves as reference for future election-related disputes.
Financing law is good in theory, but in the Kenyan situation is very difficult to enforce because matters finance, matters money are always tricky. We've not as yet developed systems that can track the trail of financing of any activity, not to mention an electoral process.
Elections stakeholders have been urged to consider engaging in discussions that will help address recurring election challenges in the country.
Let's have all the actors come together and amend the laws together so that there's a harmonized approach to election laws amendment. And then finally, can we find a way of having a discussion on election campaign financing in this country? Our legal structure is unrealistic, does not align with our current political environment. We need an honest conversation on that going forward.
With the launch of the 2022 election compendium, ICJ Kenyan section now hopes that various players within the election dispute resolution system will have it easy while interpreting the law when disputes emerge. For Newswatch, I'm Sammy Adika. Well, away from matters electoral justice, heading to the western part of the country, a section of education stakeholders in Bungoma are now calling on the government through the Ministry of Education to implement one bursary kitty that will promote equity in distribution of funds to students across the country. Speaking in Bungoma County, led by Kandui DB Primary School head teacher, the stakeholders say parents and students have been struggling to access bursary for the longest time due to political interferences from various leaders who say, or rather across the country. The stakeholders have also asked the national government to consider increasing capitation to schools in order to facilitate infrastructural development for schools with large number of students.
Lakini tunajua kuna watu ambao wana benefit kwa hizi bursaries, ili hali ukiangalia mapato yao ni wale wanaoweza kulipia karo ya watoto wao. kidogo hapo inaleta shida, sababu hata ukiangalia katika national government nini inatendeka, bursaries zinaenda kwa wale watu wanaojulikana, na kama wewe unatoka kijijini hakuna mtu anayekujua, hapo inakuwa shida.
Tuwe pengine na commission ya bursary ambayo itakuwa inapanga maneno ya bursary, ambayo itakuwa inafanya budget ya bursary, so that bursary inapokuja hiyo commission ndio ijue ni nani anayepeana. Lakini tukiacha kwa wanasiasa, tukiachia mwanasiasa moja atajigamba ya kwamba yeye ndio ana nguvu kushinda wengine. Kwa hivyo ningeliomba ya kwamba iwe commission tu ambayo inafanya uangalizi wa bursary, ambapo itaangalia wale wanafunzi ambao wana mahitaji. Nimeona sehemu zingine shule zimetengenezwa, huenda si katika hii constituency, hasa kuna shule nilienda katika constituency.
Now, Sigor Member of Parliament Peter Lochakapong has called on the entire Pokot community and public servants as well as political leaders to embrace unity as the only solution to the challenges of insecurity and tribalism that the county has been grappling with for the longest time now. Speaking at the KVDA headquarters Takwel during a meeting with more than 50 chiefs, Lochakapong vowed to ensure he leads by example while calling on the area leaders to shun from divisive politics that has paralyzed development in the region. ELCK Diocese of Kerio Valley Bishop Thomas Lokori lauded Lochakapong's call, noting that the community must be sensitized on the importance of peace.
Pia tumekubaliana hapa kwamba tuweze kufanya kazi kwa ushirikiano kama viongozi wa sehemu hii, kwamba tuweze kushirikiana, tufanye kazi kwa pamoja for the overall general results na good performance ya sub-county yetu. Hiyo ndio tumeweza kukubaliana, na mimi nashukuru kwa sababu chiefs wote wamekuja hapa, assistant chiefs wako hapa, heads of departments tuko nao hapa, wale wote ambao wanasimamia ofisi mbalimbali katika Sigor hii ama Pokot Central, wote tuko na wao hapa kwa sababu hii ni meeting ama mkutano wa viongozi ambao wanatoa huduma katika Pokot Central.
Tumeongea pamoja na kukubaliana mambo mengi. Tumesema ya kwamba tutaenda njia moja ya amani, na hiyo tutajaribu kuhakikisha na kujaribu pia ya kwamba wanafunzi wale ambao hawaendi shule wanaenda shule. Tumekubaliana hivyo ya kwamba kila sehemu, sababu kuna nyanda za juu na nyanda za chini, ambaye nyanda za chini ni kama zaidi hawaendi shule sana, wanaenda chunga mbuzi nini, lakini sasa tumesema hakuna kuchunga mbuzi, ni kwenda shule.
Now on matters sports, the Football Kenya Federation FKF elections in West Pokot County have been plunged into controversy amid claims that ghost teams have infiltrated the process, sparking outrage among local football stakeholders. The elections meant to usher in a new leadership for football in the county have instead become a flashpoint of alleged fraud, threatening the legitimacy of the results. Now, local football fans and managers have expressed fears that the fake teams were registered to infiltrate the voting numbers of certain candidates, undermining the principle of fair play.
For the first time, I think kama youths wa West Pokot wenye tuko kwa football na tuko ready kusupport vijana, tumeona leadership imekuwa saizi ambayo I think term yao ime expire juzi on 16th. Haijakuwa ikisaidia vijana. Sababu gani nasema hivyo? Vijana wetu ukiangalia in case of any tukiwa na mgogoro yoyote, hatujaona leadership step in na isaidie vijana. Na again, hatujaona ofisi active ya FKF West Pokot. Haijakuwa active at all. Unaona chairman nako kivyake, unaona secretary hata hatujui ni nani, treasurer hatujui ni nani, women rep hatujui ni nani, youth rep hatujui ni nani. So I think hiyo ofisi ya FKF ya West Pokot imekuwa ikiraniwa na one person. Na sababu gani pengine ana run peke yake? Ni kwa sababu alitengeneza hizo ghost teams ambazo mwenzangu ameongelea, Na sasa saizi kwa sababu tunaenda hii election ya FKF this coming few weeks to come, we are tired. Chenye tunajaribu kuambia ofisi ya FKF kwa sahi ya kuwa teams ambazo ni eligible kuvote ni only 14 teams zile tunajua ziko active.
So in the coming elections tungependa Bari mahali ulipo, maana wewe ndio secretary wa FKF au CEO wa FKF na president mahali alipo. Tuko katika tunalia maana West Pokot hakuna mchezo inachezwa. Kama si OKM jezi ambayo nimevaa amngejua kwamba kuna talanta mahali hapa West Pokot.
West Pokot County hatuna branch league. Hatuna sub branch league. Hiyo kitu haijaonekana kwa hii area tangu the last election. So all I know ni kwamba kuna hizi teams ambazo ziko active kwa regional league na teams ambazo ziko active division 2. Na hizo timu zote kama hizi zenye ziko regional league zilienda direct, hakukuwa na county league. So mtu yeyote ambaye anasema kuna county league West Pokot, hiyo ni wrong information, hakuna kitu kama hiyo.
And elsewhere, Kenya's Harambee Starlets, the junior national women's soccer team, departed for a pre-World Cup training camp in Spain earlier in the day. Now, their participation in the Junior World Cup event in the Dominican Republic this October will mark Kenya's historic debut in a FIFA World Cup tournament. During their time in Spain, the junior starlets will participate in friendly matches designed to sharpen their skills and tactics ahead of their debut on the global stage. The 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup will take place from October 16th to November 3rd, 2024. The junior starlets will kick off their group stage matches on October 18th against England. They will face Korea DPR on October 20th and complete their group fixtures on October 24th against Mexico. Well, we do wish the starlets all the best as they go out there to represent Kenya. We hope that as they make their debut, they will make us proud as a country. Now, as we wind up, we do know that we have UEFA Champions League ongoing right there, and in a couple of minutes, Atalanta versus Arsenal will also be taking place. Monaco versus Barcelona, and also Atletico Madrid versus RB Leipzig will also be playing just in a couple of minutes from now, around 27 minutes from now. We are actually waiting to see how Atletico Madrid and the rest will perform in that specific match. Well, that's all from us. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter at the bottom of your screen has been Boniface Mureithi. Many thanks to the entire team that made this possible. You have a lovely night. Goodbye.